What would happen to you right now if you had something stuck in your mind? Maybe a song, a vision, a situation that happened to you. Well, right now, 5.2 million Americans are having just that, except it's not something like a song being stuck in their brain. It's an event that has been burned into their memory so completely that it constantly keeps reoccurring. A lot of psychologists have referred to this at a certain point as flashbulb memory. For example, anyone who was alive around 1963, 1964 can remember exactly where they are and the events that they saw on TV at the assassination of President John Kennedy. This is very similar to what PTSD is like. It is an event that is so traumatic that it is literally burned onto your memory with adrenaline. The end result is the memory is extremely vivid, oftentimes seeing sights and sounds. They're very real and they can't be dismissed. PTSD is in epidemic proportions right now. 5.2 million Americans will be diagnosed with PTSD each and every year. And that's not 5.2 million people being diagnosed last year and now they're cured and we get another 5.2 million. No, at the present time, there is no cure for PTSD. So that 5.2 million multiplies or doubles each and every year. The numbers are staggering. At some point, everyone in North America will be diagnosed with PTSD. The problem with PTSD is really in its definition and in its diagnosis. No one has a set definition of PTSD. The reason for that is because there is no set condition for PTSD. Some people have flashbacks, some people have memories, some people have sounds, some people have anger, some people have trouble uh, focusing in groups. Some people begin to demonstrate antisocial behavior. All of these things, put together, come up with PTSD. And the problem is that traditional allopathic medicine doesn't have a cure for it. What they do have is management of the symptoms through pharmacology, and attempting to resolve the problem through psychotherapy, either one on one or group. Here's the problem with both of those. Pharmacology simply masks the symptoms. As we know, stress, anger, fight are all symptoms of the fight syndrome from the subconscious mind. We want to do battle with something and we feel powerless to do it. Depression is caused by flight syndrome. We want to flee or run away from a subject. We want to run away from a situation. We want to run away from a person. But for whatever reason, we can't. They both end up going through something that's very, very similar. Traditionally, they'll begin to add in stress, moving up to anger, moving up to antisocial behaviors, and then at some point having a breakdown or meltdown where something happens that is problematic straight across the board. Their solution, or the accepted allopathic solution, is using drugs to mask these symptoms, either anti-anxiety medication or depressants, or antidepressive medication, mood lifters that cause anxiety. Hopefully, they can balance this out in such a way that the symptoms, while they don't go away, are manageable and the person can at least function in society. To add into this, they add in psychotherapy, either group or one-on-one counseling. The problem with psychotherapy is quite simply that it is based upon repressed memories. In other words, psychotherapy was created because my subconscious mind has repressed a memory and I can't recall what it is, but that memory is affecting my day-to-day life. With PTSD, the problem is not repressed memories. It's I cannot stop remembering the situation. It could be a smell that will trigger it, a sight, a sound. Either way, that memory comes back and it's a flashbulb memory. By flashbulb memory, all I mean is it is an event that is so dramatic, it's literally burned on to your brain with adrenaline. For those of us who are older, in the 50s, 60s, we all can remember where we were when we got the news that President John Kennedy had been assassinated. Most of us can remember and relive the news footage that we saw time and time again. It's burned onto our memory. It was a shocking event. This is exactly what PTSD is, except PTSD is so shocking and it involves so much emotion that it continues going until the anger picks up to a point to where it just becomes explosive. By explosive, what I mean is this can be building up inside a person until literally someone just looks at them, smiles, waves, and says, "Hey, how you doing today?" And the anger comes out. Totally inappropriate behavior, but it happens. Or on the other side of things, depression. The person simply can no longer cope with anything, and they begin to spiral down into depression and finally become suicidal. Both of these situations can be easily removed. You see, our solution is not psychotherapy and it's not pharmacology, it's hypnotherapy using standard psychotherapy while the client is in a hypnotic stance. When that happens, it's literally a miracle. What we do is we use a combination of hypnosis with desensitization using circle therapy. The end result is in no more than 6 sessions, the worst case of PTSD is resolved. Not just going away, it's completely gone. The person can recount what happened that normally would have put them in a PTSD episode. They can go and experience things. They no longer have uncontrolled emotions of, anger or crying. They're no longer suicidal. They can function. The most important thing is these people are no longer classified as disabled. They can be gainful members of society again. They can go out and get jobs. They can work. They can support themselves, and they have that pride back. The cost for this is dramatically reduced in comparison to what we're paying right now. The cost for an average session of our hypnotherapy for PTSD is $100 a session. $100 a session is a fraction of what it costs per week for pharmacology and group therapy. And the best part is it's painless. The person doesn't have to recount over and over and over again everything that they went through. This does nothing but increase the anxiety and the hostility, which unfortunately requires you to up the medication to control the symptoms. But as a neuroscientist, I like proof. Things have to be evidence based. I have to know what it is. And this is no different. I would not present this to you unless I had that proof. So let me just show you 2 PET scans. The first one is an individual who has PTSD, and this is after normal traditional pharmacology or drug therapy and talk therapy. If you look at their brain is extremely active, agitated. In fact, it's beyond agitated. However, in the other side of things, the brain that I'm showing you now is PTSD after simply 4 sessions of our special hypnotherapy sessions. What do we see? We're seeing a totally normal brain. If I was to take this to any medical center anywhere in the world, show them this, they would say this is a control brain. In other words, this is a brain that is completely normal. Look at the difference. Extreme agitation, and this is with a person who has been 6 years in treatment versus a person who has had 4 sessions, 4 weeks of treatment. At the end of this particular case, in these 4 weeks, this person is completely cured. They're ready to go back. And I have evidence to back that up. I have testimonials from psychologists and psychiatrists saying they don't understand exactly what it was that I did and how I did it, but all they do know is it worked. Their clients are happy, they're healthy, and they're back at work. They're being productive. Marriages are being put back together. Family bonds are being reconstructed. This is what PTSD therapy should be all about. And at Rosehart, that's exactly what it's all about. At Roseheart, we look at PTSD therapy as a solution and not a mask. We provide a non pharmaceutical, non psychotherapeutic, awesomely fast solution that gets results and, more importantly, will put you and your family back in control at a fraction of the cost. And yes, many times this is covered by your insurance. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.